Welcome to the LA Choppers Handlebar Electrical Lines and Cables webinar. If you guys go ahead and comment down in the comment box there and let Jason know that you can hear everything and that everything's going well, that would be great. Here in this webinar, we've got Kyle Bradshaw from Cruiser Customizing. As support, we've got Carissa Rossi and Jason Tolentino. Jason's going to be running the webinar with Carissa as his backup. And down in Southern California, we have Chucky Fryman from LA Choppers on the line as well. Chucky, would you like to give a 30-second dissertation or introduction to yourself to the crowd here?
Sure. I've been basically brand manager and technical support as well as sales support at LA Choppers for a little over 3 years now. Prior to that, I owned a custom shop in Southern California where we specialized in service repair and ground-up builds.
He has to show my screen. All right, real quick, Jason's getting my screen sharing up here, so I'm in a different room than him, and he needs to enable my screen to be able to be shown. So, hey, thanks for the introduction there, Chucky. So, for the most part, you have really played in the Harley-Davidson market, correct? Chucky?
I'm sorry, you broke up on the last part.
Beautiful, thank you. So for the most part, you've really been in the Harley-Davidson world, no?
I really basically did almost 100% Harley-Davidson until I took the position here because our other brand is Fair & Custom Accessories, which almost is exclusively metric. So I've taken a crash course in metric cruiser the last 3 years.
Beautiful. Okay. So today we're talking about, we're talking with Chucky from LA Choppers about handlebars and accessories. Now the slide that we currently have up here is LA Choppers' selection of handlebars, and we have 208 items available. So out of that 208, Chucky, what would you say is the breakout of, you know, kind of the current trends that we're seeing?
You know what, if we're going to pick our top three, the first two would definitely be ape hangers. The 16-inch ape dwarfs sales of its next predecessor, which would probably be a mini ape, like a 12-inch or even a 14. And then after that, beach bar style bars are probably, round off the top three.
Beautiful. All right, thanks, man. So once again, this webinar is co-sponsored by LA Choppers and Cruiser Customizing. And so just to put a face with the voice, here on the screen we've got Chucky on the left-hand side of the screen, who handles all of the LA Choppers tech support, and he's their brand specialist. On the right-hand side of the screen, you're going to see myself, Kyle Bradshaw, who's in charge of product promotions here at Cruiser Customizing. And as well as that, we have the installations and video. So today we're going to be talking about why would you change your bars. It's a common question that bars are something that people usually get really confused about or scared about, and I want to try to dispel some of those, confusions or myths. So we're talking about choosing a bar, how to choose your lines and cables, how to do the electrical, and then at the end we're going to do a giveaway. We're giving away a complete set, talking handlebar, which will be the Twin Peak or any other bar of your choice in that range. Line and cable kit and electrical. It'll be pretty awesome. We're then going to give you our special offers, and we're going to open up for question and answers, which I foresee being a really big deal, as there's usually quite a bit of questions when it comes to people that are swapping out their bars, lines, and cables. So Jason is running our polls for us today, and this is going to be our first poll question. There's going to be several of these, probably 5 of these throughout the show here. The first question is, if you were changing your handlebars, would it be for comfort or for looks? So Jason is now going to go ahead and pull up an ordinance must close the poll. Okay. So you currently have a poll on your screen, I believe, and it should have the question, if you were changing your handlebars, would it be for comfort or for looks? And then when Jason closes that poll, I'll have access again to the screen where you'll be able to see the future slides that are coming up. So while you guys are voting on that, hey, Is that working well, Jason?
Yes, it is.
Okay. What are our current statistics?
79% voted, so this shows 11% for looks and 89% for comfort.
89% for comfort. That's pretty striking, pretty remarkable. Chucky, as far as your professional experience goes in doing bars, lines, and cables, what do you think? Do you think that resonates for what you see as well? That the majority of people do it for comfort versus looks?
What that tells me is there's more metric cruiser guys online right now than Harley guys.
That's awesome. And what would give you that assumption?
We're all motorcyclists. You know, there's just the metric cruiser community is different than the V-twin community. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but you know, Harley guys will suffer through a miserable ride so that their bike looks really good parked at the watering hole on the weekend.
Nice. All right, so we got the poll results up there currently, and what do the final results say, Jason?
It's already on the screen, so 11% for looks and 89% for comfort.
89% for comfort. Beautiful. All right, can you open up my screen now?
Sure, yes I can.
Thank you, sir. All right, so moving on. There are usually a couple important reasons that people choose: comfort, control, style, and looks. Now, control is one of those things. For example, I rode a bike once that had some insane bars put on it, and it was legitimately difficult to ride the motorcycle. So control is really a key aspect when it comes to why you want to swap your bars. Maybe you got a used bike, and that bike was set up for somebody else that was, 6'5", and you're like, 5'2". It'd be almost impossible to ride that machine if it was set up for that big dude. So being able to swap bars, being able to swap your seat and change your footing really allows you to customize a motorcycle to fit you best. So comfort is the first, and as you can see, KQ sitting on this motorcycle here. This in the stock version, in the picture here on the left, super hunched over and kind of leaning really far down in order to get to the bars. And as you can see on the right here, she's kind of sitting upright, and the bars are right out, or the hand grips are right out there in front of her, allowing her to have much better control of the motorcycle. Well, I guess that's control and comfort. So control, once again, allows you to be able to have the bars in the appropriate position in order to maneuver them correctly. What have you got to add on this, Chucky?
Well, I would have to say you're definitely right on track there with the control and comfort. If you're riding around with your hands over your head on a set of 20-inch 8s in traffic and an emergency goes down, there's going to be a little bit of a panic and scramble to get the bike under control, as if the bars were right in front of you and a more stock position or more chest level position, you'd be able to react to any circumstantial cars or whatever faster.
Beautiful. Now we know that 11% of you are really doing it for looks, and as you can see in this picture here, the stock look is okay, the aftermarket look is significantly different, and then if we take a look at, for example, this image here, I mean, that's just badass. When you can change the look of your bike to be yours and not just another factory bike, it's pretty significant.
Yeah,
so the next poll question.
Enough different bar styles, Kyle?
Yeah.
I was going to say we do enough different bar styles that you can get custom looks, comfort, and control all out of the same bar.
Right, and that's really the key. Finding a bar that you love the appearance of, that puts you right into that riding position that's going to make you the most comfortable and give you the most access to your controls possible. That's definitely key. So we've got another poll question up. If you were to describe your perfect riding position, would it be just up and a little bit closer to you? Something you could get with either a bar change or even just a riser. You put a kickback riser, say from Barron's, on there, you should be able to accomplish that. Lower and wider, that would be the standard beach bar. So where your stock bars kind of have that extreme bend to it, you kind of lower that down, flatten it out, and pull it around to the side. You've got the straight out position, which would be more like a drag bar. You would have, say, the Mini 8, which would be a little bit taller than stock, but not much. but still give your hands more like that straight out feeling. And then badass taller, you know, pretty much the standard ape hanger. Where do we sit as far as completion rate, Jason?
We got about 73% is voted, and
Okay.
it keeps coming up, so I'll let you show the results pretty soon.
All right. So Chucky, as far as the people who contact you when changing the bars out, where do you think the majority fall here?
I would have to say mini ape.
Mini ape? Okay. Why is that?
Because if I'm getting calls from consumers, it's normally guys that are tackling the job themselves, and they're in the garage in a little bit of a pickle, and they're just looking for a little bit of advice to get the bar back on the bike so they can head out for the weekend.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, and it looks like you're showing the results there, Jason. What do we got?
All right, so if we have just up and a little closer, 2 inches up and 2 inches back is 46%.
46%.
Lower and wider is 3%. Straight out, drag bar, 4%. A bit taller, a mini ape, 41%. And badass taller ape hangers, 7%.
Wow, so the two biggest ones are going to be the up and a little closer and the mini ape, correct?
That is correct.
Mini ape. Beautiful. Okay. If you could relinquish the screen to me again, that would be awesome. Thank you, sir. So let's go over real quick some of those common bars we just talked about. So we talked about tall risers and drag bar, mini apes, T-bars, and beach bars. Now there might be some of you out there in this webinar cast that may not know what the differences are between those, so we're going to touch on those just really quick. So a very common bar style is the tall riser and T-bar. T-bar meaning a bar that goes straight across and then has risers connected to it to look like a T. In this image here we have risers at the top, pretty common. A lot of these are really common with the club bikes these days. So guys that are riding Dynas and Sportsters, maybe some Fat Boys that are wanting this look. So as far as this look goes, Chucky, it's been out for a couple years now. How are you guys seeing this one come across?
Right now, it's a really hot look. We're doing a couple different style bars for 2013 to reflect the request we're getting for how hot this look is. It's really not that bad comfort-wise either, because the taller the riser, the further back the bar pulls. So if you have a T-bar...
Uh-oh, we just lost
right back at about shoulder height.
Okay. Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah, we're back now. You broke up there for a second. So if you could just repeat that, that'd be great.
I said that if you have a tall riser, maybe a 6, 8, or 10, with a pullback drag bar, it puts the bar in a really comfortable position right out in front of you, about shoulder height.
And that seems about one of the most common, comfortable places that people find. So that's pretty awesome. So the next bar, which you guys voted on, was the second most popular, would be the mini ape, and this here is an example of a mini ape on a Sportster. Then you got the ape hanger. Now, how would you classify a mini ape different from an ape hanger, Chucky?
The mini apes are a very desirable bar for somebody that wants to add a little bit of attitude but doesn't want to sacrifice any of the comfort or control. So that's why it's our 12 to 14 inch cable kits eclipse sales of anything else. But like I said before, our most popular handlebar is still a 16-inch ape.
Okay. So essentially you'd say a mini ape is going to be somewhere chest height, and a full ape hanger as pictured here is going to be more of that shoulder height or higher.
Exactly.
Okay. Beautiful. So moving right along, the T-bar is super. I mean, that used to be one of the most popular mods that people were doing in the early 2000s. Say when the VTX and the Mean Streak and the the Warrior came out, this was like the #1 bar that people were putting on their bikes. I've seen a little bit of a slowdown, but now with the taller risers, we're starting to see them come back again. And the last bar would be the Beach Bar. Now, the Beach Bar was something that we were seeing really popular, and being put on motorcycles in the beginning of the, or late 90s, early 2000s. And I've seen a slowdown in our sales on Beach Bars. Have you seen the same thing, Chucky?
I have. It's been really interesting. I mean, I've always loved a cruiser with beach bars on there because it gets your wrists out a little bit straighter and gets you a little bit wider. Maybe if I was planning on buying a cruiser for touring, I would not use that bar because you get the kite effect when you're all spread with your arms wide like you're a kite. But for cruising around the countryside or doing little weekenders, it's still a fantastic bar.
Beautiful. So we have the next poll question, and this is something that kind of came out of the discussions that Chucky and I had: cables and brake lines. Yes or no? So Jason's going to pop that poll here in just a second. Looks like the poll is open now. So quick question for you, Chucky. As far as the people that are calling in and asking you for specific advice on doing a swap, are they doing it themselves, or are they taking it to a shop to have them done?
If they're calling me, they're doing it themselves, or they're double-checking information that a shop's told them just to reconfirm what the service manager is telling them before they go ahead and sign on the dotted line. I'm seeing a lot more people tackling these jobs with resources like our tech department, or even the tech support at the retailer, as well as YouTube. There's no reason that you wouldn't be able to do it yourself.
Beautiful. Where do we look as far as completion goes, Jason?
Right. We're at about 78%. So I'm going to go ahead and share the results with you guys in just a second.
Sounds great. So yeah, I mean, lines and cables. I remember when I first did my very first set of bars and had to mess with lines and cables. Personally speaking, there were two sections that really kind of flubbed me up when I first did it the first time, and that was messing with my throttle, like undoing throttle cables and making sure they were hooked up to the carburetor correctly again, and making sure that the carburetor opened and closed as it should. And the second thing that really freaked me out was my hydraulics, being able to bleed the brakes again in order to get proper braking. As we only have two wheels and brakes front and rear, so if they're not working appropriately, well, then we're in trouble. All right, Jason, what have you got?
What we have here is 90% said yes and 10% said no.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, the electrical scares the bejesus out of some people, and hydraulics is another area where I think people really have a hard time. So, yeah, it's not surprising that the majority of people would like to be able to put a more comfortable bar on their bike without having to swap out lines and cables. If you could please enable screen sharing. Awesome. Thanks, Jason. So, Chucky, you guys have bar options. If the consumer measures correctly, they can usually find a bar that's going to give them what they want without having to swap out lines and cables, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So just
go
ahead.
I said we're really striving to add more products to our line that do not require any cable or electrical modifications. Normally, you could reroute the cables, the stock cables, and sneak 2 more inches out of them somewhere. And so that's where we're really focusing energy over the next couple of years to give handlebar options to guys that just want a little bit pull back so their lower back doesn't hurt on long trips.
And that's one of the most popular things that we sell here at Cruiser are handlebar risers. Risers that are going to give you an inch or 2 more in height and an inch or 2 more in pullback. Just taking those stock bars from the uncomfortable position that they usually come in and bringing them a little bit up and a little bit back. And And that's something that we kind of struggle with here at Cruiser is being able to lead people down the path of least resistance, where you could put a set of risers on, but you're still stuck with that same stock bend. Whereas if you could really do the measurements yourself and find out, okay, I need a bar that's going to be 38 inches wide instead of 36, but it's going to bend back right here and set me up here, and I can still use my stock lines and cables, but I have a way better wrist position with a new bar. So a couple of those key things to take a look at when doing a handlebar swap or change out is there's some key elements. Number one, the handlebar. Number two would be risers, extended lines and cables if necessary, wire extensions if necessary. Now the last two things on this list would normally be common sense, but time and knowledge. Chucky, in your estimation, if someone has not done a handlebar swap before and they're attempting it for the first time, what would you recommend as far as the amount of time that they should allot for that?
Let's pick star for our star bar, which is a really even with minimal mechanical experience, that could be done in an hour, 2 hours max, with a buddy helping you to just, hand wrenches, hold bars out of the way. That's a pretty easy swap. Now, if you're talking about taking your let's say a Harley bagger, and we're going to take the stock bars off and do a 12-inch mini ape on an ABS bike, which would be the analog brake model, I would say a first-timer, that's a weekend job. That's a take it apart Saturday, put it back together Sunday, or in a shop it would be 8 to 12 hours depending on which mini ape they picked.
And that's a big thing. When you're talking about doing it at home in your garage where you're going to spend an entire weekend, or taking it to the shop where you're looking at legitimately $1,000 in labor expenses to do this job, it makes the do-it-yourself option look much better.
It does, and like I said, I don't want to steer anybody away from trying it. Like I said, we have some videos on our YouTube channel. You have videos on your channel. I say 2 days because a lot of guys have other things going on the weekend. They don't have 8 to 12 hours in a row to just do it. So if they split it up Saturday and Sunday, it splits the frustration up also.
Right. Now, the picture that I've got up here is a bar job that KQ and I did last year. We just launched it the last 2 weekends. So we saw it tip of the week last week for the first time where we did the bar installation. And then this week we did the wiring and showed a little bit of the installation of the lines and cables. This particular job, filming, having to redo some stuff and show you guys the step-by-step, it took us just over 4 days to complete that project. So, of course, we had some extra stuff in there that you wouldn't normally have in your own garage, but once again, this is a project that could be in-depth and could take a little bit of time. What I really wanted to focus on in this particular picture were the things necessary when doing this type of installation. So here on the table, we've got the bar in front of right in front of KQ and myself. Off to the right, you're going to see the lines and cables. We've got wire extensions there in the center. And then off to the left, we've got all of the tools that we needed to really do the job. We needed some hex keys, some open-end wrenches, some Torx bits, some wire cutters, diagonal cutters, wire strippers, a soldering iron, and a heat shrink tubing gun. And that's something we'll get into in just a little bit. So as far as the first thing you really need to do is you need to measure basically your riding position. So sit on the bike in the position that you're going to want, and then measure the different measurements or the distances that you're going to have from your current bar locations to where you're going to want to be. And I think that's really the first thing I'd recommend before actually jumping online and searching through hundreds and hundreds of bar options. Have you got any other suggestions on that one, Chucky, how to find the right size bar?
My best advice would be to somebody considering changing their bars is to go to a couple big bike nights and ask to sit on somebody's bike that has the look of the bar that you're looking for. regardless if it's the brand motorcycle you own, just to get the feel of it and know that that's what you really want.
That's a great suggestion. So once you find exactly where that position is, then you can legitimately go home, sit on your bike, measure exactly where you're going to need that to be on your machine, and find bars that kind of fit that bill. So real quick, I want to touch on a really neat product from both LA Choppers and Baron Custom Accessories, and that is lining cable kits. So here on the screen, you're going to see the 12 to 14-inch cable kit from LA Choppers. Now, LA Choppers is specifically for Harley-Davidson, and you're going to find the same stuff from Barron's. It will fit all of the metric cruisers. So really, when it comes to lining cables, you've got two options. You can measure and then order yourself. For example, on Cruiser Customizing, we've got listed separately the throttle push, the throttle pull, the clutch, the brake lines, choke cables, you name it. And you can legitimately order those one by one to suit your needs. Or with this kit here, with your bike model selected, or by visiting handlebarcables.com, you can choose with one part number the complete kit of lines and cables that will fit your machine. What have you got to say about this one, Chucky?
These handlebar cables almost put me in the what configuration would bet. But we dialed it in our
Hey, Chucky, I don't know what's going on, but it sounds like you're breaking up.
Guesswork out. And like you said, on the LA Chopper side, we've pretty much covered all the V-twin models. On the Baron Custom Accessories side, we've covered all the hot-selling metric cruisers. There's still a couple that we're working on filling in the blanks there. But it just makes it easier. And the handlebarcables.com website, you can pick the model of motorcycle, you can pick the style of bar, and then you'll get our suggestion for what we would recommend you order.
So as you guys will notice at the title of this webpage that I have previewed here, this is for a 12 to 14-inch bar. So this isn't 12 to 14 inches over stock, correct, Chucky? This is for a handlebar that would be 12 to 14 inches high.
Exactly. There's too much guessing with +8 this, +10 that. What we did is we put kits together that would best suit a bar range. The 12 and the 14, it's only a couple of inches. They're always pretty much the same width. So the cables are close enough. They're not going to be really long on a 12 and really tight on a 14. We've just focused on hitting the sweet spot in the middle that best suits the most people.
Beautiful. Now, moving away from lines and cables and looking at electrical. Now, this is, once again, a spot where people freak out. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to have to cut into the wiring of my motorcycle in order to do this job. I don't want to do it. And this is really a big deterrent from the people that we talk to on the phone and visit with on mototribe.com or in the forums. This really is one of those things that deter people from doing it themselves and doing it right. But at the end of the day, you've got a couple different options. You can do it yourself, and you have two choices when it comes to doing the wiring. You can solder them, or you can use a butt connector. Now, in this particular screenshot here, I've got the small loop there in my hand is a butt connector, and up top of that is actually something being soldered in. Now on the screen here we have the LA Chopper kit that has specifically the same color-coded wires as the Harley-Davidson, so it's really plug and play, and this kit allows you to be able to make one cut and one solder, and you're pretty much done. So Chucky, how important do you believe soldering is versus using, say, a butt connector?
I would never use a butt connector in any situation unless it was an emergency roadside repair. People have success with it every day. I just don't think it's the professional way to do it. There may be a reduction in voltage by using a butt connector rather than hard soldering it in. These wiring kits, they really take a lot of the guesswork out of what you're doing. We make our wiring kits 20 inches long, so there's plenty of extra wire there, so you could stagger your joints, so you don't have a big solid knuckle of joints if you cut them straight across. The other way to do it that you mentioned earlier is, if we don't have an electrical wiring kit, is to have to solder in extensions, which is how I did it for years and years and years until these electrical wiring kits started being developed. And that process is, it's an extra solder joint, and basically you just take, and if you need 10 inches, you do a 10-inch extension of anything, black, red, blue wire, and you just put it into the middle of your handlebar wires, because you won't really see it inside the bar. So it'll go in blue and it'll come out blue, and there's a black extension somewhere in the middle. It doesn't really matter.
Exactly. So if you guys want to take a look at exactly what Chucky just outlined, take a look at the handlebar wiring job we did on the V-Star 650 we customized about a year and a half ago, Delilah. That's exactly what we did. We were modifying a V-Star 650, which there is no such thing as this electrical wiring kit for that bike. So we used straight black wire, and I believe it was 12 inches or so that we used to extend that with. And once again, we chopped the stock wire and just added in that length. And the beginning of it was blue, and the end of it was blue, and this intersection, it just was a moot point because you're never going to see it. So let's really quick walk through the process of doing your wiring. And this is really simplified, but it will give you all of the steps that happen in there to kind of take that confusion or that question away. So the number one thing, you're going to cut the end of your factory wiring off. If you're using one of the kits, those ends are already on the end of the new kit. Or if you're going to use the splice in your own wire, like we just talked about, you would just solder or butt connect the factory end onto your wire strip and then connect it to the other side. So this here is an image of us actually soldering the Harley kit together. Basically attach the extensions, solder them in, and then once you do that, you cover them with heat shrink tubing, and then you run basically a fish wire through the bar. That becomes your pull wire. You attach that to all of that extended wiring and pull that through the handlebar. Now, Chucky, what are some key tips that you can offer to people pulling wire through bars?
I like your fishing line with a sinker on the end of it. I don't do anything that fancy. I got the same piece of string I've been running through handlebars for 10 years, and I just have a bolt tied to the end of it, but it's probably not even heavy as your sinker, so I'm going to try that next time. One of the things I do is, especially if I'm doing something with a lot of wires, like the new throttle-by-wire baggers have 16 or 18 wires in the right-hand side, is I will take and solder a piece of wire to one of the wires and then electrical tape them. Wrap it up real good so they don't get stuck on anything, and then tie my string or tape my string to the wire that was soldered, and then that way it doesn't pull apart. There's nothing more frustrating than fishing wires halfway through the bar, and even if you think you have it taped good, you're tugging on it to get it to pull through, and you pull the string out the other end of the bar, and now you're back to square one.
Dude, it is no fun. So actually this picture that we have up here now, I actually pulled in half or pulled off the pull wire off of the wires twice before I actually got it done successfully the third time. And that peak there at the top of that bar was really tough to get around. But eventually we got it, and the bars turned out fantastic. So the last thing you're going to do is you're going to secure the control housings to the bar, make sure everything fits, you don't have any excess wire that's not in the bar already. We actually had that as a problem on this particular build where we didn't pull all the way through. We actually had like a 1/4 inch of that wire harness that needed to be pulled further back to the bar once we attached the housings. So that's another thing. Before you set these bars on the bike and start to bolt everything down, make sure everything fits appropriately, like bench test it, I guess would be the best way to say it, to make sure that it's going to fit perfect. And once again, this here is what the final version was, after everything was test fitted, everything was worked out. As you can see, the factory stock connections are down there on the end, and they're just ready to be bolted up and put on the bars. Have you got any further suggestions, Chucky, for doing electrical?
Yeah, as a follow-up to making sure everything fits before you button it up, always plug your electrical connectors in and make sure your headlights turn on, your horn beeps, your starter works. That's the second most frustrating thing, is you get everything buttoned up and you realize that you have one of the wires crossed somewhere, maybe you jotted it down on your diagram wrong, and the motorcycle's together when you figure it out.
Right, so it's kind of a bummer if you put everything back together and your horn button's now your starter and your starter's now your horn button. Not too good.
Exactly.
So we got another poll question here, Mr. Jason. So what concerns you of doing a bar swap? What's the main point of concern? Do you either A, not have any concerns? Is it choosing the right bar? So you want to do this one time. You don't want to keep swapping bars out, although my VTX is on its, I think it's fifth set of bars, which it's looked a little different over the years. So choosing the right bar, installing lines and cables might be a concern, or messing with electrical or messing with hydraulics. Chucky, in your professional opinion, how do you think this poll is going to turn out?
It's going to fluctuate somewhere between the electrical and the hydraulic.
Okay, that'd be interesting. I'd have to say the same exact thing. I mean, those are two things that people really get freaked out about. Bleeding brakes is almost a mystery to most people, and anything that has to do with cutting an electrical wire is like immediate freak out. Almost as bad as drilling fenders or something like that, but should be interesting. Jason, what do we look at as far as percentages go?
All right, we're at about 74%. So
Okay.
in just a few seconds, we're going to put the results live.
Okay. So that was your hypothesis, Chucky. As far as you, which one of those gives you the biggest fit, personally?
The electrical is always a concern, especially when you're working on a big cruiser, just because if anything's wrong, a lot of motorcycle parts have to come off to chase down an electrical ghost. Any type of an electrical problem is always a huge nightmare.
Gotcha. All right, Jason, what do you look like?
All right, can you guys see the results? So it says you don't have any, it's at 4%. Choosing the right bar is at 45%. Installing lines and cables, 16%. Messing with electrical, 22%. And we got messing with hydraulics at 13%.
Wow, that's pretty surprising, actually. Well, Chucky, you've been proven wrong. One time only.
Yes.
So 45% of the watchers or attendees out there say the bar is the biggest concern. I'm gonna hypothetically, I'm gonna say that I would imagine that that's the case because there's so many bars out there. Actually, choosing the right bar the first time, I think it looks like a big concern. All right, Jason, if we could have control again, that'd be great. Thank you for your help with this, Jason. You're doing an awesome job.
All right, no problem.
So really quick, I mean, lines and cables. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time with lines and cables simply, well, for two reasons. Number one, people aren't having that big of a issue with them. And number two, essentially you're going to undo your stock lines and cables and replace your stock ones with the new ones, and everything just gets installed reverse of how the stock ones came off. There's really only one exception to that. And you can take a look at a video that Chucky and I filmed this last Friday that kind of really demonstrates that, but that is the front brake line. On many of the Harley-Davidson and Metric Cruisers, what happens is you have from the master cylinder up at the top of the bike on the handlebar, you got one line that goes down to the triple tree and then breaks off, and if you have dual calipers, there's like a junction box there, and then you got a line that goes down to each of the calipers. With these stainless steel kits, what happens is you have two full-length lines, one a little bit longer than the other, and both of those lines run all the way up to the master cylinder and junction in with a double banjo fitting. Can you expand a little bit on that for us, Chucky?
Yeah, we do that exclusively with our Barron's cable kits on the metric side. We used to own a drag racing team, and this was technology that got picked up while everybody was out on the race circuit. And by running a dual race-routed brake setup like that, it improved stopping power significantly by cutting the T out and just running two straight cables from the master cylinder.
So while we're talking performance here, what are some of the key performance benefits that we're going to see from a stainless kit versus the OEM rubber kits?
Across the board, both metric and V-twin, rubber durates, it breaks down, it flexes, it moves in and out, almost like you take a breath. So by putting on a rigid stainless line, you're directing the fluid into the pistons and improving stoppability instantly by installing an aftermarket stainless cable.
So this is one area where not only are you going to enhance the looks of the motorcycle, but you're actually getting a performance increase by going with the stainless steel setup. All right, so that pretty much rounds out the discussion on handlebars, lines, cables, and electrical. Before we go any further, Chucky, is there anything that you really want to speak to as far as the lines and cables go?
Maybe not on lines and cables, but if we go backwards a little bit about choosing the right bar, something that everybody that owns a motorcycle can do is put a center stand under your motorcycle and get your bike standing straight up in the air. Sit on it, put your hands out in front of you, and imagine where's the bullseye at? Where do you want to be when you're riding down the road? And then have a friend or have your spouse measure where you're at. Measure how wide your hands are. Measure how far back from your risers you are, and then pretty much you can find a bar once you know those measurements.
All right, that's a great suggestion, Chucky. Thank you. So moving right along here in the presentation, Tim, I want to thank you guys for attending. Now we have some really awesome stuff that's going to go on here in the next couple minutes. Question and answers will be open, where you'll get to be able to voice your opinion and ask some questions. It'll be pretty awesome. We're also going to give away an LA Chopper's Twin Peak bar, a lining cable kit, and extended wiring. So everything that you need in order to do handlebars on a motorcycle. Super, super exciting. Now, you're also going to have an opportunity to get a free giveaway, and that will be anybody who has attended this webinar and uses the coupon code here on the screen, LA27, in the coupon code at checkout. So if you place an order on Cruiser Customizing over the next 24 hours and use LA27 as your coupon code, you will get a pop-up on your screen that will allow you to choose the Barron's Custom Accessories Cable Dress-Up Kit, either chrome, black, or carbon fiber. Now, this kit, Chucky, why would somebody use this kit?
It's just a really nice dress-up item. It's really easy. It's that mesh, like the Chinese finger trap stuff, that when you pull it, it gets tighter. So you can run your cables through there, or your wires, your cables, whatever you want. Slide some shrink tube over it to capture it, and just make everything look the same. You know, if you're buying a new stainless cable kit, but you have a bunch of black wires and tubes and evaporator canister tubes everywhere, you can run these over top of that and make it match.
So we've got a video on our YouTube channel showing exactly how this installs and the look before and after, and it makes a significant difference. So here you go once again, LA27. If you purchase anything on Cruiser Customizing and use this, you're going to get that free cable cover kit. And if your order happens to be over $199, we're going to send you, in addition to that, a $20 gift certificate. Wait a second. While he's doing that, let's give you guys manufactured to deal. And cables, you enter one part number and you get everything you need for your motorcycle. Chucky's got some awesome videos on his website that will allow, and his YouTube channel, that will allow you to see exactly how stuff is done. Once again, quality products with comprehensive warranty, and they're designed right here in the U.S. How much of the LA Chopper line, Chucky, is produced here in the U.S.?
Absolutely every single one of our handlebars is designed and produced right here in Huntington Beach.
It's fantastic. Once again, made here in the U.S. And who does LA Chopper serve? Here on the diagram that's on the computer in front of you here, they do handlebars, cable kits, grips and risers, exhaust, suspension, performance stuff, tachometers. I mean, just about everything that you could do to your motorcycle, LA Choppers has some part out there. Now, once again, LA Choppers is mostly for Harley-Davidson, or V-Twin, but all of the handlebars can really be used on metrics as well. And of course, the sister company, Barron's Custom Accessories, is 100% focused on the metric part of the market. As far as what you guys do, Chucky, you want to give us a 30-second commercial?
Yeah, we are the lead handlebar manufacturer for just about everybody in the industry. Manufacturers get their bars from us. We have specialized machinery nobody else in the country has to manufacture these bars. Everything's made with U.S. steel. You can buy these things and be sure you're getting a strong product that's had a lot of R&D gone into it.
Beautiful. So the last poll question before we choose the winner of the complete handlebar line and cable setup will be, I plan on changing my bars in the next 30 days or so, before the riding season starts, before Sturgis, I'm still on the fence, or not in my cards. Jason, can you throw that poll out there for us? All right, I believe the poll is open. So you're getting pretty close to picking that name, Jason?
Yes, I am. I'm actually pulling it through my hat, so.
Now, whose team are you using today?
Whose team?
Yeah.
Oh, sports team, huh? I'm actually using an A's hat, so I don't know if there's any Giants fans out there, but.
Well, with the recent 49ers being in the Super Bowl here in the upcoming weekends, I'm surprised you're not wearing a Niner hat.
Well, for hats, I usually just wear just baseball hats versus something from the NFL.
Gotcha. So what do our percentages look like on this poll?
All right. 77% has voted, so let's go ahead and take another few more seconds and let me post that up.
All right, then while we're going over those, Jason will read the poll questions, and then we'll move into the giveaway. All right, what are the results there, Jason?
All right, so it says in the next 30 days or so, 19%. Before the riding season starts is at 38%. Before Sturgis, 6%. I'm still on the fence, 35%. And looks like 2% says not in my cards.
Gotcha. Well, for the 2% that's not in the cards, we really appreciate you tuning in and taking a listen. We love having you guys here for these webinars. It's a way to really get information out there and get people excited about accessorizing their motorcycle and really making their bikes more comfortable and making them want to ride more miles. So here we go. It's time for the handlebar hookup giveaway. I know the slide says Carissa will be drawing the name, but Jason is handling all the dirty work today, so we're going to let Jason have the opportunity, unless he wants to share it with Carissa.
No, Carissa said that she doesn't want to pull it, so I'll go ahead and pull it out of my hat. All right, here we go. So the winner is Patrick List. I hope I said your last name right, Patrick, but you are the winner.
Beautiful. Congratulations, Patrick. You are the proud winner of the LA Choppers Handlebar Hookup Giveaway. Jason, is Patrick still on the line there?
All right, let me go unmute Patrick, if that's okay with you. All right,
Absolutely.
Here we go. You go ahead, Patrick.
Hey, Patrick, you there? Patrick, you out there? Patrick, tune in, Patrick. All right, well, it looks like we're having a hard time connecting to Patrick. Hey, Chucky, real quick, you want to give us a rundown on the offering here you have for Patrick?
Yeah, the Big Twin Peaks is a brand new handlebar line just out for 2013 that has a traditional bend at the bottom with a miter up at the top. We make those for baggers. We have them in 10, 13, 16, and 19, so we have a size for just about everybody.
So I'm pulling up Cruiser Customizing right now, and we'll grab the Twin Peak handlebar. We should be able to bring that up here. Just 1 second. All right, Twin Peak, that definitely, there it is. And here's the Twin Peak 13-inch in black. It's opening up right now, so give me just 1 second. So this here is the handlebar that Patrick won. He's also going to get a line and cable kit and electric kit if he's got a Harley-Davidson. So Patrick, once again, congratulations on that. Super excited to have LA Choppers participating with this on this webinar. So now it's question and answer time. Real quick, before we get there, I want you guys to remember to use LA27 as your coupon code to get that free FlexiWire cover kit. And now we're going to open it up for questions and answers. So you have a couple different options. You can type the question in the chat box to staff, and Jason will read those. Or you can raise your hand. Just click the hand button, and Jason will unmute your mic and give you an opportunity to ask the questions that you have to answer. And just before we get into that, I just want to thank LA Choppers and Chucky specifically for being here and spending his Sunday evening with us. As well as a big thank you to Carissa and Jason for their participation, making sure this goes smoothly. So Jason, we're opening up the lines. What have you got?
All right, so going through the list, I do have a question here. It's a question from Janet. And Janet asks, will LA Choppers bars fit a Victory?
Chucky.
Currently, we do not have a Victory specific bar. We do have a lot of bars, and we also have our Hefty bar line, which is 1 1/4 inch solid all the way through, and as long as you switch the risers to 1 1/4 inch riser, then they will work.
Beautiful, thanks, man. Next question, Jason. We got any hands up there?
Yes, we do. But let me go through this one question, and then we'll get to that. We have a question from Gary, and Gary's asking, ape hangers, are they illegal in Australia?
I don't personally know if they're illegal in Australia. Hey, Chucky, you got any answer on that one?
You know, if they are, there's a lot of criminals down there then, because we ship a ton of apes to Australia.
As do we, for sure. So pretty much the most common restriction is ape hangers higher than your shoulders could possibly get you in trouble. But anything lower than that is usually acceptable in most areas. But you'll have to really check with your local law enforcement in order to get the answer on that one.
All right, next question. This one is gonna be asked by Mario.
Mario, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, thanks. Got a
What can
question.
we do for you?
I have a Honda 04 Shadow 750, Shadow Arrow. For 3 years, I'm trying to change my bars. The bars are attached to the triple tree. There's no risers there. It's just a direct connection directly to the top of that tree. So I can't even move them towards me or anything. You know, they're solid. I can't do anything.
Right.
I want to put risers, bars, but my problem is I can't find the lines in the cables.
Okay. Well, I've got a couple things for you on that one. So what you're talking about is the 750 Arrow has risers that are actually welded to the handlebar, and then they bolt with studs that are cast in there through the tree and then nuts on the bottom.
That's correct.
It's really, really simple. As long as you choose a bar that's somewhat close to your current configuration or your current measurements, you can legitimately either add the Barron's risers. Their kickback risers are super popular for your bike. or any of the other riser manufacturers like Big Bike Parts or Kurioka. You can use their risers as well.
Yeah.
And then legitimately you just choose a bar that you're going to want. If it's relatively the same dimensions, quote unquote, as your current bar, you won't have to swap out lines and cables. But if you
I want to rise it though. I do want to rise it. I mean, the perfect position for me now. When I ride, I have a little cruise control on my throttle.
Yep.
I click that on, and I literally sit with my hands on top of my mirrors.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
so
I know the position and everything. It's about 6 inches.
Okay. So if you're going to do a 6-inch rise on that, which is easily obtainable with a set of risers and a handlebar, 100% doable. Like I said, the Barron's kickback riser is a great one to work with, and then just search through the bar line and find a bar that kind of fits the measurements that you're looking for.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident that that Chucky's site, handlebarcables.com, has a 750 Aero applications. That's correct, right, Charlie? Or right, Chucky?
No, we actually, that is the top of the list for the next metric cable kit to add. But I can tell Mario that don't be discouraged. We are working on that. That is going to happen in 2013. The other thing is any riser made by LA Choppers or Barron's comes with a stud kit to adapt all of our risers to each and every one of the OEM metric bikes.
That's great news. The issue I have is the cabling and everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't get it. It just doesn't exist anywhere. And when I try to talk, to cable producers, they don't know. They can't tell me what I got to do.
So I do have a suggestion for you,
Yeah.
and that is going to be motionpro.com. What you can do with Motion Pro is your bike will be down for about a week.
Yeah.
But if you mail Motion Pro your stock lines and cables, they will reproduce those and send you exactly what you're looking for.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So shoot me an email and I'll get you in touch with them and we should be able to get you squared away.
You're hang on. You're
Yeah,
Kyle, right?
Yeah, just Kyle at cruisercustomizing.com.
I got it. I got your email. Yeah. Okay.
We'll definitely get you handled.
Okay, I really appreciate it. It's like 3 years. I sit there and I'm leaning forward just a little bit. I get a backache all the time.
I hear you.
Okay.
Good deal. So shoot me an email and we'll touch base. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
All right. Who do you have next, Jason?
All right. We'll have Terry next, asking a question. Terry, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You guys
What's
here?
up, Terry? Welcome.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Fantastic. What can we do for you tonight?
Well, I had a suggestion earlier. I was thinking about it, and I do all of my electrical work myself. But for those that have difficulty working on things and are a little bit challenged at dealing with electrical stuff, we all know that every manufacturer has their own factory-style plugs. Well, if we could offer a kit that would have just, say, the pins as an extension that plugs into the original wiring harness, then you could actually make the kit with a plug on each end that would mate up to the original setup and then run your larger cables, larger wires. Of course, the plug itself that was originally in the lighthouse bucket would come out and be somewhere between, but you could just plug and play basically in that aspect. I didn't know if anybody would like the idea behind it.
I think it's a fantastic idea, and that's exactly how the V-twin wire extensions work from LA Choppers. I think the biggest issue that we're seeing with that, at least from our end, and Chucky can chime in on this here in just a second, is that fact that each of the OEMs, each of the metric OEMs, even within the specific manufacturer, have different plugs. For example, I've worked on a 750 Aero that was different from the VTX 1300, that was different from the VTX 1800. We have hundreds of different wire connections, if that were the case. So the same thing you guys are seeing too, Chucky?
Did you get my email?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if we go to another model, the C50, they changed the connectors and the cables about 4 times in 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really what makes it difficult with the metrics.
Yeah. 350 plus mileage. I mean, mileage is going to be like 40, normal common nowadays is 42 cents a kilometer. Yeah, so 42 cents a kilometer, you're looking at...
All right, Jason. Thanks for the call. We really appreciate it.
70 kilometers, 140 kilometers times .43.
Next one for us, Jason.
All right. The next one is going to be Robert. And Robert, are you there?
I sure am. Thank you.
Hey, welcome, Robert. Thanks for calling in.
So 350,
Appreciate it.
60, you're looking at just...
Is everyone else overhearing someone talking kilometers and cost per kilometer?
Yeah, we are.
Okay,
Hey, Jason, can you handle that one for us?
Already taken care of. My mistake there.
It's good. It's good.
Okay. Now my question was just phone numbers, because I am one of those metric V twins, and I have a C90. It's an 06, and it's always difficult to find parts for that thing to customize it. Hey, phone numbers for LA choppers or Barons, so I can talk through what I want to do. Because I want to talk to somebody. I do, and I love the tip that he had, that sit on your bike, get that sweet spot, have someone measure it. But after that, hey, I want to talk through this with somebody that's technical. Yeah, I do my own wiring. I bleed my brakes, but man, I'm just freaking out about dropping $200 or $300 on bars and lines, and it's not right.
I hear you. So what's the 800 number there for Barron's, Chucky?
Oh boy, the 800 number. I knew you were going to ask me that one. I don't even know what our 800 number is.
Oh, no, you're putting it up there. Baron Custom Accessories.
Right.
I mean,
I'm pulling it up right here.
I mean, that's cool too. If
So Barron's is going to have all of your metric stuff. LA Choppers is more is more your V-twin Harley Davidson. So here, I've got a number for you, and it's actually going to go to the Barron's support team. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, it's going to be 888 857
857
5417.
5417. All right, thanks, Kyle.
Correct. Absolutely. Thanks for calling in. All right, Jason, next.
Great. Right. Next question here is going to be from Michael. And Michael, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome, Michael.
Hey, yeah, listen, I've been riding motorcycles my whole life, but I'm kind of new to Harley this last year. I've gotten a 2006 Sportster 1200 low. And I'm wanting to adjust my bars a little bit, but, like looking at all the money on the thing. Can I use risers with my stock bars, like to maybe just bring them up a little bit and bring them back? Is that reasonable?
Chucky?
Absolutely. We make a couple different risers. Now, does your specific model have the gauges mounted on the top riser clamp?
No.
Okay, perfect. That's the right answer. So on our Baron side, we have a product called the Kickback Riser, and it's available in chrome. It's also available in black, which is what a lot of Sportster folk buy just because it has a lot of black trim on it. That is a 4.5-inch tall riser. It gives you about another inch tall and about another 1.5 inches pullback.
Okay.
And we do a 5.5 tall with an 1.5 inches pullback on the LA Chopper side.
Well, I heard somebody say a while ago that sometimes if you reroute your cables a little bit with your stock cables, you can get a little extra length. What could I expect doing that on that Sportster?
Exactly the same. On the brake line, you notice it has the hard steel line coming out of the master cylinder banjo bolt.
Yeah.
Okay, you can always, it's malleable. You can bend it in different directions. You can't wiggle it back and forth because it'll work hard and break off, but there's no reason you can't straighten it out here and there to squeeze a couple inches out of it. And the clutch cable and the throttle cables, there's plenty of slack in those to pretty much do anything you want to do.
Okay, so say I wanted to come up 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches with a low riser, to give me a little extra height and kick it back about the same. There's no reason that I couldn't possibly be able to remaneuver my cables and get that.
Oh, you could absolutely do it.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. You know, because I'm like the other guy looking at $300 to hold redo a kit, because I was looking at like the mini apes, but then by the same token, I think I can get. Well, it's like going down the road when I have a touring pack. A lot of times sits between me and the sissy bar. When I go to try to lean back on it, you know, if my bar's set back a little bit, I'll be a lot more comfortable when I'm out on the road. You know.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Good job.
well,
Thanks for calling in, Mike.
yeah, thanks. Bye.
All right, you take care. Next up, Jason.
Great. All right, so the next up is from Joe. Joe, are you there?
Joe, welcome to the show. Joe. All right, let's hope Joe comes back on. Next guy, Jason.
Next guy is John. John, are you there?
Hey, John, you there with us?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hey, welcome. How you doing?
Good. Yourself?
Fantastic. What can we do for you tonight?
I have a Softail Custom. I have mini apes on it now. I'm looking for like a drag bar without changing any lines or cables or anything.
All right. Well, from my experience, if you've already got mini apes and you're going to a drag bar, if it's got a taller riser, then you shouldn't need to change a thing. If it's a shorter drag bar, you might have to hide some of that wiring somewhere, or maybe make an extra bend in the cables in order to take up the slack, but you should be golden. What do you say, Chucky?
Yeah, when you're in a situation like that, creative routing is always your friend.
So 6-inch rise on it'd be fine, or?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
you should definitely have plenty to work with that, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, John, for the call in. Who's up next, Jason?
Next up would be we have another person named Terry. So Terry, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, welcome, Terry. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Hey, I got a 03 VTX 1300, and I still got the stock cables on it.
Okay.
I was wondering if those guys need lubrication or changing, and if they need lubrication, what would you use?
Okay, so let me show you something here real quick on the screen. I also ride a 03 VTX, and lubrication is key. Pro Lube. So Motion Pro makes lube and a luber device here on the screen that you see right now. The cable luber, what you would do is you would detach your cable up there where it hooks into the throttle tube.
Right.
And then you would affix this little aluminum device to it, and then you would use the straw on the Motion Pro can and just squirt lube down into that cable, and that will lube everything up good. As far as your brake line goes, you should absolutely change your brake fluid at least every other year in order to keep it free of moisture, and of course make sure there's no air in it, just bleeding that thing out.
Okay.
Any other creative suggestions there, Chucky?
I'm sorry.
No, yeah, you're right on top with the maintenance. If you don't lube your cables, where the cables go through the metal parts, it will actually act as a hacksaw and cut into the metal on the inside of your cables, and eventually you'll have a failure.
Oh, okay. All right. But you said it was Motion Pro?
Yeah. Motion Pro has awesome cable lube, and they have a special little cable luber for $10 that will allow you to be able to effectively squirt lubricant down the housing without making a huge mess.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your help, guys. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. You take care. Thanks for calling in. All right, who's up next, Jason?
All right, next up is Mike. Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey,
Can you
welcome
hear
to
me
the
okay?
show, Mike. Yeah, you sound
Thanks.
great.
All right. Yeah, I got a question. I have a 2008 FLHRC, and I'm thinking of putting the 12-inch on. It's got the throttle by wire, though.
Mm-hmm.
So feeding all the cables, or all the electrical and the throttle by wire, is that any issue getting all those into the handlebar? I'm looking at the 12-inch, right? The 12-inch at LA choppers there. The 12-inch ape.
I played with a throttle by wire, but I haven't actually fed one through the bar yet. So, Chucky, what have you got on that one?
This is going to be a twofold answer. If you're doing a traditional 4-bend bar, which means it has just a bend at the top and a bend at the bottom, it's not a big deal. It's just a couple extra wires. What I normally do is go through the installation as we talked earlier with dropping a fishing line with a sinker through the bar. But you want to do 2 because the throttle by wire goes in the end of the bar where the rest of the handlebar switches go in through the bottom. And you basically just want to fish both through at the same time, and everything works exactly the same, only you'd solder 2 wires on if you do it how I do it, or you tape them all together, and you basically just pull everything through at one time on a traditional 4-bend bar.
Gotcha.
Now, if you have something with, like in Kyle's video this week, that has like the meat hook up at the top, like the big Twin Peaks that has the 90-degree miter up at the top, there's a little green clip in the wiring harness. And I believe Harley has a Screaming Eagle throttle barrel that's 40, 50, 60 bucks or something like that, that little plug has been eliminated. Or if you're handy with the soldering, what I always do is take and just cut that plug out of the harness, and I do it 1 wire at a time because one goes in, red and comes out green. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you have the Bagger wiring supplement to their operator's manual. So if you just do 1 wire at a time and go ahead and solder those together, you can eliminate the green plug altogether and then just go through the installation exactly the same. It's just when you're going around a 90-degree bend with that many wires, you just have to do a little dance, a push and pull, and everything rolls right over pretty problem-free.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I saw you guys had an extension for the throttle by wire too, right? You have a kit for that as well?
We do. And we also just offered a kit for 2013 that's a combo kit, so it comes with all the handlebar switches as well as the throttle by wire.
Oh, cool. Okay. Will that fit the 2008?
It does. It's from 2008 to 2013, all the same wiring harness.
Ah, cool. All right, perfect. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for the call,
You're
Mike.
welcome.
Yeah, you bet.
Next up, Jason.
All right, let's get back to Joe if he's on the line. Joe, are you there?
Hey, Joe, welcome to the call. How's it going, man?
Hello?
Hey, Joe, how's it going? This is Kyle from Cruiser Customizing.
Can you hear me, Kyle?
Yeah, I can hear you great. What can we do for you?
Well, Kyle, I really don't have any questions. I just want to make a comment that I really am enjoying listening to everyone and their comments, and I'm just trying to take it all in and learn. So thanks very much.
Hey, awesome. Hey, thanks for calling in. Thanks for hanging out with us. And if there's anything we can do for you, you can always reach me at kyle@cruisercustomizing.com.
Kyle, I get a video from you every week, and I really enjoy it.
Sweet. Thanks for the comments, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, you take care and ride safe.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, who we got next?
So far, that's all the attendees that we have asking questions, but we do have a few questions that were written up on the way. So we have a question here from Robert. It says, I have a 98 Harley Road King. I am 5'11". Will a 2-inch riser make a better riding position?
Can you read that again?
Sure.
For us, just real quick.
Option because it has the nacelle top handlebar cover.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So in Robert's scenario, he's going to have to choose a handlebar that will allow him to get the measurements that are going to put him into that proper position. Yeah, because as Chucky said, the nacelle on the top of the bar there is basically a chrome cover, and that doesn't allow you to put an aftermarket riser without eliminating that feature of the motorcycle. Next question there, Jason?
Great. Okay. This one's from Travis. Travis asks, I have a 98 Royal Star. No one seems to do a kit for lines and wiring. How do I go about measuring for new lines and cables?
Yeah, didn't we just talk about that bike this weekend?
We did. You want to handle that one, Chucky?
With the Royal Star, the the regular Yamaha Royal Star, it's, I don't want to say the word dated. That bike is basically what put Metric Cruiser on the map. You can still get cables. You can contact Cruiser, and I'm sure they can track them down for you. As far as handlebars go, any 1-inch bar will fit on that bike. So that's the route I would take.
Beautiful. Yeah, for Travis, give our customer care team a call, 888-857-5417, or shoot me an email, kyle@cruisercustomizing.com. And what we'll do is we'll have to order you each of those lines and cables as individual pieces, but we can definitely get you handled. Next question, Jason?
Next question is from Ann. Ann is asking, I have a Honda VTX 1800R with a fairing front, and long rides are very uncomfortable for my arms and elbows. Will risers work for me?
Okay, once again, getting yourself into that perfect riding position, whether you use risers or whether you use bars. If you can put a tall enough riser on the bike in order to put your current bars into the position that you're going to want, then yeah, risers would be perfect. If you just lift your bars pretty much straight up and back a little bit where a riser would put you, and it's still not getting you into that proper location, then you're going to have to do the bar swap. It's pretty much that simple.
All right. Next question is from Mark. Locating nubs inside the control covers. Is it better to drill your new bar or cut off the nub?
That's going to be a question of preference. If you feel you're pretty handy with a tape measure and a drill, it's really easy to go ahead and drill a timing mark in the bar. I normally just take a file and file the timing mark off. The control clamshells themselves, they'll stay in place. That timing hole doesn't need to be there. Harleys don't have them at all. That's a metric option. So, like I said, I would always file them off, but I've drilled plenty of holes also.
Okay, Mark, I want to follow up on that just a little bit. I've done lots of installations on Honda models that have that nub on the control housing. There have been instances where aftermarket control housings have been installed, and without the nub, they don't clamp down tight enough to keep the throttle from moving when it's not supposed to. So just FYI, it's possible. Most every OEM installation with an OEM control housing, I've never had a problem filing the nub off, but if it's an aftermarket one, the tolerances are slightly different, and there might be an issue with that. So once again, marking it and drilling it's always probably the more sure way to go, but you can go either direction. Thank you much, Mark. Jason, next one.
All right. We have one from Tim, and he's actually on the line. So, Tim, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Welcome, Tim.
Oh, thank you.
What can we do for you tonight?
I ride an 09 Road King, and one of the biggest issues I seem to have is with the angle on the wrists for the handlebars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've been thinking about getting a set of the adjustable handlebars that I've seen available in some of the magazines, and are they okay for wire by throttle?
Yeah, they're pretty fantastic. I was actually at Arlen Ness on Friday and saw a couple of the adjustable bars mocked up on a couple different bikes, and absolutely looked fantastic. But yeah, throttle by wire, that's just the end of the bar is notched a little bit differently. But
right.
as far as that goes, the rest of the bar is identical. But with the adjustable bars, they're pretty awesome because you can adjust, how close they come to you or how far away you want them, and then you can adjust so your wrist has the perfect angle. So, yeah, I think that would be a win-win for you.
And you looked at them; they seem pretty solid, pretty safe.
Dude, they are wickedly solid. Yeah, they're just as solid as any other bar out there.
Excellent. Well, that's good. Thank you very much. That answers my question.
Now, real quick before you go, Chucky and his company is the manufacturer of most of those bars, so I'm sure he has something else to say on those.
What I can say, especially about the Arlen Nesses, is he really beat us to the punch on that. It's a really cool design. I've sat on a couple of those bikes, and and the first thing I did was go ahead and give it a tug to see if you could move it. There is so much clamping area. If you hit anything that makes the bar move, you got bigger problems than just your bar moving.
Right, I get it. I hear you. Well, that's good. Now I know what I'm going to be spending the next bit of cash on.
Well, that's fantastic. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, you ride safe.
Thank you.
Great. All right. So we have another one from Michael. So Michael, are you there?
Yeah, I got one quick question about this flexi wire cover kit you're talking about.
Yes.
This thing is a fairly easy install. I could just slap it on my cables and my sports and make them look pretty, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to disconnect the cable at one end.
Okay.
You then slide this all the way over the cable and then pull it tight and make sure you have enough distance there to be able to cut that, and then put some shrink heat tubing over it. But
Right.
yeah, it's super simple. Disconnect the cable, slide this on, stretch it out, mark where you need to cut it, and then heat shrink both ends, and you're golden.
Okay, then it's held on with the shrink fit, right?
Yep, that's it.
So you can run your mesh stuff on there, but with the shrink fit on each end and flex and shrink it down, right? Okay.
That's
cool.
it. Fantastic.
All right, well that's it. I was just kind of curious about this stuff. Thanks. All right.
Beautiful. Thank you, Michael. Once again, thank you to everyone who has participated in this webinar with us tonight. We really appreciate you tuning in. Big thanks to Jason and Carissa for being here on their Sunday evening to host us with us. Big thanks to Chucky from LA Choppers. If any of you have any questions that you didn't feel like airing out there tonight, once again, Kyle@cruisercustomizing.com is my email address. You can shoot me an email, and I'll make sure I get back to you ASAP. If you got any questions specific to Chucky, go ahead and email me, and I'll forward those to him, and he'll definitely provide you with answers. So, thank you all for coming. Chucky, any last words?
I'd also like to thank everybody attending tonight. Thank you guys for years of support. It's enabled us to stay in the marketplace and come out with new products year after year.
Beautiful. And Patrick, if you're out there, email me, Kyle@cruisercustomizing.com, and we'll get those bars, lines, cables, and electric out to you. So thanks again for attending. Jason, you can go ahead and shut her down. And everyone out there, take care and ride safe.
All right.